Okay, hi everyone. Hope you're good. Beyond the Field of Play vodcast, I'm so pleased with how these are going. You know, the feedback, so appreciated. I've had people, asking if they can come on. Really good, and we're just continuing to see, some great guests and listen to some real inspirational people. And today is no exception. This guy, I've got so much time for this guy. He's been into the college before since he's left. His journey has taken so many twists and turns. He's got a bit of a catchphrase that we use at college still. I use to this day. And he's got that infectious laugh about him. He's an absolute top bloke, and I'm really looking forward to for you lot to hear his story from college to now. Trying to be the next Lord Sugar. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce you to Josh. Oh my God, Mark Mitchell.
Mate, I'm awesome. Thank you for inviting me on. It's really nice to be here.
No, it's great, mate. It's great. It's great to hear your voice. As we were saying off air, it's just great to catch up as well. And obviously,
mate, it's awesome to see you, and it's awesome to see. Because I still see you on Facebook day in day out, and I think seeing how much the college progresses year in year out, it's just great, mate. I catch all the stats on my news feed when you're posting about all the results and stuff like that. So that's awesome.
No, I appreciate that, mate. And also, I always say to people like yourself, we wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for you lot, because obviously we wouldn't be able to grow and be able to develop. So, really appreciate that, mate. So just to start off, your journey. We could probably spend an hour or 2 hours talking on this, but obviously we know for attention spans we need to be, 20 minutes, half hour. So with this in mind, can you, just start from the beginning with regards to your college and how that experience was and kind of where you've been since then?
Yeah, mate, that's awesome. So I think a good place to start was, I think coming out of school, I left school with about 4 GCSEs. I wasn't the most academic, I never have been. And, when just to kind of give you a background of, like, I suppose, awesome upbringing, by the way, I love my parents to bits, but in my family, going to college was a big thing. Like, if you went to college, you were smart, so it's almost like the holy grail, right? So I came to college, I started off with A-levels, went absolutely dreadfully in the first couple of weeks. I was sat in psychology, all these other subjects. I'm sat in there and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm bloody doing here, to be fair. The teacher's talking, I know they're educating me, but I don't know what they're saying. And so it's a bit weird. But anyway, I spoke to, I went to student services and I said, look, I'm really struggling. To be honest, I'm being completely honest, Dave, I was only there for rugby. Like, back in Hove, when I played for Hove, everyone was, Worthing College rugby was starting to become like a big thing, like around the area. And at the time, I was an avid rugby player. That's all I really cared about. I was absolutely obsessed with it. So, I was like, where can I go where I can really develop myself as a player? And Worthing College was the perfect place for me. So I jumped in Sport BTEC level 2 in my first year, just to try get some more qualifications under my belt, get some more GCSEs, level 2. And also tried to do my maths GC again alongside that. Still haven't got it to this day, but at least I tried. And then I finished that in year 2, and I went to year 3 on the level 3 sport course on the BTEC. But playing rugby alongside that, and do you know what? I think one of the biggest lessons I learned at college, which I still carry to this day, was the sheer discipline and standards and not cutting corners of anything. And I say this even to the university students that I speak to. I learned my best lessons, my best life lessons at college for sure. Because when I left school, I didn't have any standards. Like, if we went down to a running track and no one was looking, I would just skip it. If no one's looking, I'll just go home. But it's like this mindset that was like kind of drilled into us, where it's like, do the right thing for the greater good for the team. And to the point where I'll take my own backside down to the track and run and run and run, because I knew that it would impact the team positively on a Wednesday. But while I was at college, I've always been I get distracted quite easily. So, and there was a years ago, I don't know if they do it now, but the college student union used to run a college freshers party. And at the time, opposite Worthing train station, there's a really dingy nightclub. What was it called? Dreamers or something?
There was many names for it, mate. I'm sure the older listeners will have, loads of names of that club. But
and I think you were a regular there, weren't you? So basically, what happened was there's actually a bit of an incident that night. I won't go into too much detail, but anyway, the college decided they weren't going to run college freshers parties anymore. So me and my mate Seb Brightman, big shout out Seb Brightman if he's watching it. We clashed heads together and launched Worthing Freshers at Worthing Assembly Hall. And Dave, I don't know if you remember, but like every break time for a good 4 or 5 months, you know, in the student union area, we would just be selling tickets. None of us had event management experience. It was just literally like, we're going to throw a party. It costs £7 to go. We reckon 1,000 people will come. And like, you know, and that all kind of came together. And I still to this day how that works, I don't know. But in the end, we had like 970 something people come. And it wasn't just from Worthing College. It ended up being Chichester College, Northbrook College, all the surrounding colleges. It was almost like word just got out. And I think that was my first kind of initial interest in marketing and like social media marketing, how powerful social media was. I was like, Jesus Christ, I was like, how do you attract an audience of this magnitude, like just through Facebook? I was like, it's unbelievable. And so I'm still playing rugby. This event thing's kicking off. I start promoting nightclubs in Brighton. I think actually, Dave, one night, I still to this day remember you walking past me. I think you've been for my Sap-Up meal with the missus somewhere. And yeah, you walked past me outside Gym Boutique on West Street. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, probably, mate. Yeah, but yeah, I didn't get a free ticket or anything.
Well, you didn't ask, mate. I think you're a bit better than that club anyway, so don't worry, I'll let you off. But yeah, so I started promoting nightclubs in Brighton, and so that's when I really started to understand the game, I think, and how nightclubs operate, how promoters operate. And I learned a lot in Brighton promoting, if I'm being completely honest, like how it all works, how to literally take a club that no one wants to go to locally, the amount of tourism that Brighton gets, how to fill the club up. And it was honestly, it was madness. But then it came to the end of college, and one thing I do want to make sure is on this record is the support that I got from you, Ben Coulson, Mark Ruggers, but all of you went way above and beyond what you needed to do for me. I think it's fair to say when you come to college, you're pretty much an independent learner. But like, if it wasn't for you guys, genuinely, I wouldn't have been able to go to university for sure, like 100%. And Vanessa as well, like all of you together collectively, like honestly, I couldn't thank you guys enough. And I almost feel a bit indebted to you guys for that as well. So that's really important, because when it did get to the end of college, and you know, for me it was either go get a job somewhere or go to uni. I didn't even know if I wanted to go to uni. All my mates were applying for university. I literally applied because everyone else was applying. Like, I got my mum on my back, right, Josh, go to university. I didn't want to go, if I'm being completely honest. I didn't want to go, you know. I should have gone, and I did go. I wasn't there for me, if that makes sense. So I've got a place in Winchester, went to Winchester University. Same story as college, same story as I'm sat in the classroom, struggling to concentrate. I've stopped promoting nightclubs in Brighton because obviously I started falling into a bit of a wrong crowd, if I'm being completely honest. Wasn't the best crowd in the world. And there's a nightclub in Winchester called Vodka, and they weren't open on a Thursday, and I thought, oh my god, there's an idea. Oh my god. And so I put a proposal in, and I said, look, you're not open on a Thursday, let me run your Thursday night. Look, give me 50% of the door takings, and I promise you X amount of people for the door every week, 500-600 people. And I was calling the club, no one was answering. I was putting letters through the door, ringing. I found out who the owner was. I'm ringing. No one answering me. I'm texting all the time. No one's getting back to me. And I finally got an opportunity to run an event on a Thursday. And he said to me, look, you got one shot. You need to make it work. And I just got my student loan drop on the account, which wasn't much anyway. And at the time, the Only Way is Essex was really popular. So I literally, my student loan hit my bank. And then I literally sent my student loan to this guy from the Only Way is Essex, and said, right, come down March 17th at the time, March 17th, come down, you'll be a PA appearance, I'm going to sell the tickets, we'll make the money back, make a profit, happy days. So once again, I'm slamming university. I funneled 70% of the student population on Facebook into Facebook groups. I'm spamming the hell of my event, selling tickets. And then, end of the day, about 550 people came. I broke even, so I made my money back just. But then the club gave me a weekly slot from that point onwards, and yeah, and it all kicked off from there. Really, I hired 10 students to come and work for me. They all earned some pretty good money out of it, commission and stuff, and I think that's kind of where it all pops really. And if I'm being completely honest, university is supposed to be a time when you're struggling for money, and I don't come from money. I don't come from like a wealthy family. Like, you know, it's almost like everything I've got always worked for. But all of a sudden, you know, if I'm being completely honest, I was in a situation where we were making thousands of pounds every week. I didn't know what to do with it. So I was in restaurants every night, eating out every night, just being an absolute din low with everything. And after a while, I realised, you know, at the time it sounded great, but then after a while, I was like, what am I doing? Like, I was just pissed. Sorry, I was just drinking every sorry. I was just drinking every night, and I was like, actually, I've gone a bit downhill with all this. And I think the turning point for me was the summer hit of the second year running this event, and I had nothing left to show for it. And living this ridiculous, I wouldn't say lifestyle, because it was almost like a term time lifestyle. It was really difficult to explain. And I went home, didn't have a penny in my pocket, and I was like, what have I just done? What a waste. I put nothing aside. It's all going up the wall. And so I came back the next year, I was a lot more smarter, and I started saving money and stuff like that. And then I realised after university, well, as I was approaching the university, I was like, I don't think I can work for anyone anymore. And it's not because I don't like working with people. I've got no problem with working with people. I haven't got an ego problem. It was more like I started realising in part-time jobs I was having that sometimes your progression is limited not by your own potential, but by the organisation you're in. So, for example, if you work in retail, you know, or hospitality, you might work up to manager, then you might work up to area manager. But at some point, there's a bottleneck in the way organisations work, because the person, the position above you, if they're sat in that job for 10, 15 years, it's no longer about your potential and where you could go. It's, sorry, mate, there's not a job for you. So I was like, well, am I going to limit my potential and just kind of cross my fingers and hope that person above me moves on 1 year? Yeah, or am I going to just go out there and try to create my own vehicle, as it were, and to make it work? So kind of fast forward leaving university in 2016 to where I am today. I run a digital marketing agency. We're about to go, there's 8 of us, about to come 8, a team of 8, which is awesome. We're targeting to finish the year as a team of 12. Got clients all across the south and up north, and there's a couple of clients abroad, which is amazing. I've got a brilliant team around me. I've got some really good people who all share, and in my business, a lot of the standards that we have in here, they're standards that were taught to me at college. So a lot of the way this business, I'd love to invite you in. If anyone wants to come in here, it's like if you walk in there, you feel the energy, you feel the standards. Like, we don't cut corners, and it's all stuff that I didn't learn from university. I learned from the discipline that was kind of instilled into me at college, and that's why I'm forever grateful for that. And I still run events, exhibitions. So like, I run business exhibitions, which obviously fingers crossed happens this year, depending on how COVID goes. But was that summary a bit long? Sorry.
God, no. I was just, as I say, like with all of these chats, I've been just sitting here and just like in awe of every single one of you. And again, you know, you kind of scratch the surface on that of your story, if I'm honest. But you know, from going from, and I still quote this to this day, you're one of the only students that started in an A-level class and then had to go down to level 2. Which people that don't understand, it's like literally a whole course level drop. It's like basically going back to high school and your GCSE level, which was nothing against yourself. It was just the fact of kind of, you know, the skill set and what was needed to help you up that next ladder. From listening to you there, you know, purely you'll get out what you put in, and from that point of view, you put in the hard yards, you put in all the dirty work that people don't see. You know, I say to my guys now, success happens when no one's watching. And that's one of the big things. Obviously, you've just shown that you haven't even scratched the surface on the other kind of jobs you had to do. You know, you had a cleaning business, you had all this kind of stuff just to be able to raise stuff, to be able to move forward.
Just on that, it's important people know that, because like sometimes friends message me and people message me saying they want to start their own business and stuff because it seems like a great idea. And I don't know, maybe sometimes people like look at some people and they think, oh, it must be like you get all the time in the world and stuff like that. Like, when I started out, and what you said there is bang on. I spent my last 200 quid on a pressure washer and a hose from Argos, a Karcher, which by the way wasn't very good. And I had a Peugeot 206 at the time, and literally in the back of my car, I put the seats down, and this hose lived in my car because I didn't have a shed, and this Karcher lived in my car because I didn't have a shed, and so I literally turned my car into a 2-seater. And I used to just drive around Southampton when I moved down here after uni, just banging on doors, knocking on doors in the morning to basically see if anyone wanted the patio pressure washed. And once I pressure washed the patio, and honestly, it's an awful day. Maybe I should have been looking for drains. But this lady, lovely lady, and she really did forgive me. But there was so much dirt on this patio, and I pressure washed it, and all the dirt lifted off the patio, but there was no drain, so there's no to push the water. But she had like a bit of grass at the end of the patio, but in between the grass there's like a big a line of like flowers in between the patio, flowers and then grass. And so I thought I'm gonna have to just pressure wash it all onto the grass because it's got nowhere else to go. But obviously I pressure washed it all onto the grass and all the flowers just come like that. And then she came out and I was like, I'm so sorry, I only charged the half price.
It's like that. It's like that Apprentice episode where they're cleaning the back. They're cleaning the I don't know, someone's back guy on the patio, and it was just mud. They weren't clearing anything.
Yeah.
But look, I'm again when and maybe unfortunately, I think things have changed a little bit since you guys were at college. So I remember the 400-meter repeats. I remember the Henny Mullers for. I know they're still doing, but the Henny Mullers for not having a 1 litre water bottle with your name on it, or the right
or
kit,
showing up 2 minutes late.
Yeah, the right kit.
Like, no one was late.
The standards are still there. Don't get me wrong, and they are there 100%. And we have the sports standards of be on time, bring your correct kit and equipment, work hard. They're simple. They follow. That's it.
Yeah.
But in terms of how you and the group managed yourselves, you pushed yourselves to the next level. So I remember the likes of yourself. Dom Heron, Dom, I don't know if if he's going to be listening to this, but I know there was there's a group of you that wanted to get as fit as possible, so you called it get lean or die trying. You wanted to create t-shirts. There was pictures of people being sick and all this kind of all that kind of stuff, and it's just from listening to you going from a sporting environment to very much a business environment. It's very interesting that a lot of the philosophy, a lot of the standards, a lot of the non-negotiables are very much linked. And I think it is important for the listeners to realise that actually everything you do learn, through life, you need to transfer and take on. So whether it's something really small, whether it's something really small, or whether it's something, like for example now, sorry if I'm having a bit of a rant, but at least when you lot were late back in the day, you lot had some really creative excuses. Yeah. So
what excuses these days?
I haven't got one. That literally is it. It's just, there's not even any creativity. Like I almost tell them sometimes to go, when they're late, because we still do the thing, I'm of the thing of like, right, okay, well, can you just go away for 2 minutes and actually come up with something that's creative? Because that kind of bores me. And, creativity is one of those things like, yourself and Seb Brightman, who I love Seb. You just see him just lifting ridiculous weights all the time, don't you? On
that's it. Yeah, he's still single though.
Does his 1 rep and walks off. But that's fine. That's brilliant. I love Seb. But all those, that creativity of like, right, well, there's a little niche in the market. There's a little gap. What can I do to, first and foremost, it probably was to make money, but secondly, it was probably to make sure that everyone was having a decent experience. No.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think, mate, do you know what? If I'm being completely honest, back then I was probably focused about money, but it's weird. Like now, all I worry about these days is like making sure that we've got high standards for our customers. There's lots of our customers feed off us in terms of what they implement into their organisation. But what you said there about stuff crossing over and almost like translating to the business world, like my God, I can't explain how true that is. And to any students watching this, like at some point your time at college is going to be so short. Like I thought I was going to be at Worthing College forever. When you walk through year 1 in Worthing College, you literally like, I'm going to be here for the next 2-3 years. Like they'll never leave, it'll never pass. And I was saying to you on the call before, Dave, like was it next year? What was 2021? Next 2 years, no, yeah, next year or the year after, it's 10 years since we've left. Like 10 years since, you know, being scared of turning up to training 2 minutes late, like petrified of turning up late because I knew that it was going to be 400-meter repeats and stuff like that. But then, like, I think what's really important is looking back on those memories. And honestly, like, if I do come in again, I love to come and speak to students again. Like, if you ever bring me in, the biggest message, it's not to come back to say, oh, look at what I'm doing. It's to come back and just say, look, the time you've got at Worthing College, like, just be present in the moment and enjoy it. Because I promise you, you know, university is great. If anyone goes off to uni or you decide to go into work, everyone's different, everyone's path's different. And there's no right way to do it, by the way. But just treasure the moment, because I treasure my Worthing College moments, like, with very fond memories.
Love that, mate. And I think as well, just listening to what you've been saying, is that, you know, and we know all the great business people of the world, they've had failures, and it is important that to fail, and there will be times when you fail, and it's about, you know, what can I do next to get back up? So every company we've had, there's been examples. So obviously your one about the pressure washing, your one about having no money, your one about, you know, thinking about all these different ideas. You know, Bradders was exactly the same. I know you two are, you know, with similar age groups, and you know, it's just about getting yourself, you know, understanding that you know, you're going to muck up. I've mucked up loads of times, you know. I do it, and it's just a case of, well, that's it. You know, tomorrow's another day.
It's so true. It's where your best lessons come from, through failure. I hate it in here when things are going really well, because when everything's running plain sailing and smooth, I'm not learning. Like, start of COVID hit, supposed to running an event in the October, you know, event cuts off, no one's committing to anything, all our project work, Mitchell and Stones, cuts off. I thought we were going down, mate. I really did. I was like, oh my God, I was like, this is it. This is my 2008 financial crash, because in 2008, I'm still in school. And, you know, it's just like, there's two things you can do in that situation: go into preservation mode and not so much be a victim, but, like, you know, just kind of scare yourself to the point where you're absolutely paralyzed, you won't do anything about it, or just, like, do what you can to survive and thrive, if that makes sense. And, you know, went for the second one, obviously. So, but you're right. But you need failure as well, because, like, and this is the thing, like, there's a lot of, like, things that young people are taught, I believe, like, like, focus on what you love, like, you know, find something you really enjoy and go and do that, which is important. But no one tells you that you probably need to do a shed load of stuff that you hate first before you actually find what you love, if that makes sense. So, like, when CVs land on my desk when we're hiring for new roles, and the younger CVs, I'm being completely honest, you look at some of the jobs they have, they're in roles for like 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. No one stays in jobs, and I don't know if it's related to that, where it's like people just hopping until you find something. Like, you need to just get good at stuff you hate, I think, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree with those points you make, and I think, obviously, I know these talks are more timeless. They're not lockdown specials, and I think, unfortunately, there have been some people that have just gone barrier up. You know, oh, COVID's gonna, you know, take over the world. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to feel sorry for myself. And maybe I know we're talking about mental health, and mental health is extremely important. But if you don't have that first step of actually, tomorrow's going to be a better day. Tomorrow's going to be a better day. You know, if today's a bad day, it doesn't matter. You know, I just think, and again, it's a bit of a theme running through these talks. You know, don't dwell on things. Don't think, okay, today's gone badly. You know, in the last few days about having to organise all this mass testing and, you know, where students need to be in this, that, and the other. Yeah, I've had days where I think, you know what, God, you know, I can't do this.
I bet. For sure.
But you know that tomorrow there's another positive day. And actually, on your point about people flitting from things too much and not sticking things out, I do think there is a little bit of lack of resilience, you know, in the sense of, and actually, you know, advice is, yes, you want a career, so you obviously love what you do because you've made it yourself. You know, I'm in a fortunate position that 75%, 80% of what I do, I love doing. You know, and that is the goal. That's the aim. That is the, you know, utopia. Yeah. But to get to that, I've had to do some rubbish. I've had to be, I've had to be in a call center where, no offense, people love being a call center, but I didn't like that. But I knew that that was income that allowed me to do my coaching qualifications and my teaching qualifications to be where I am. So do you see what I mean? It's like, I think people see it not as like a dead end job, but just like something that is a motivator. So that you don't get comfortable. And I know, we haven't mentioned this, and we will do, but Mark Sambrook, God bless him, we love him all. He was a great mentor to me. He was a great guy, to you and the students and so many students. But he used to say, try and be comfortably uncomfortable in what you do. And that for me has always stuck to me as long as loads.
Well, mate, literally looking at my wall here, forever comfortable, being uncomfortable as we achieve more than we ever thought possible. Literally, it's on I can't even shake it, it's on my Mac, but that's on our wall here. It's ingrained in everything we do. But it's important, mate, and it's the same as like things like talking to strangers. Like, you need strangers. Don't talk to strangers. You talk to kids. Don't talk to strangers. Like, strangers have everything you want. Whether it's connections, whether, like, for example, at rugby, if I could go back in time, if I could jump in a time machine, like, almost like when you know what you know now and you could jump back in time machine, it's like you think, oh, for God's sake. And so what I try and do now is like just close the gap between like knowledge that I've got now and like people that are like 6 years younger than me and all that kind of stuff. So where I can, of course.
Yeah, but it is just like, and also like things like manners cost nothing. So it's how you communicate, it's how you talk to people, because you never know when you're going to need that person. So again, it's all about respect. So let's take the college example. Treat the principal exactly as you would do with the ladies in the CAF, or or the premises team, or the teaching staff, or each other. Do you see what I mean? You treat everyone with the utmost respect, and it's just those life skills to take on. So as I said, Josh, you're an absolute top bloke, and I'm so pleased with how well you are continuing to do, especially during this current climate for business. It must be tough.
Yeah. So,
a couple of questions from me, mate. First of all, what's next for Josh Mitchell?
Delay, mate. I might just pack it all in. I think over the next 5 years, we've got a 5-year plan for this business. The thing is, when I look at what motivates me, mate, I just love the hustle and the grind. I hate things going well. I get so bored when things are going well. Like, someone said to me the other day, they're like, "What's your purpose? What's your why?" Like, I don't know. I don't bloody know, mate. All I know is I love being in the office at 7:30 in the morning on the dot. 7:31 is late, and I just love what I'm doing. And I think the minute you stop love what you're doing, it's like, what's the point? And I think, especially in this business environment, you start hanging around with different people who think differently, and they're like, "Oh yeah, so what are you doing, Josh? You're building the business to sell." And I'm like, "Sell? Well, why would I sell it if I built it?" They're like, yeah, but you want an exit strategy, don't you? I'm like, no, I don't. I'm happy. Like, my happiness is watching all my team walk through the door, love coming to work. They're not blagging me saying, "Josh, you want to work from home when this all works out." Like, they all can't wait to get back to the office. And that for me is the world, really. So, probably just continue to do what I'm doing, and just grow year on year, I think, because I don't believe that there's such thing as stagnation. You're either growing or you're dying. It's one of the two. Stagnation is just how human beings make sense of what's of that next growth spurt, or that, or when you're going to start going down, if that makes sense.
Totally. And I love that attitude. It's fight or flight, really.
Yeah, big time.
And just to finish, what kind of advice would you give? Maybe the students of the age that I work with, that are listening. What kind of advice would you give them right now? I know there's been so many little golden nuggets there, knowledge bombs dropped in there. I appreciate that. What kind of, if you were just to sum it up, what kind of couple of bits of advice would you give those guys and girls?
Few things. So the first thing would be, like, don't ever stop learning. Like, when you leave college or you go to university, you get a job, like, don't ever stop learning. Always be a student in something. Because the minute you stop learning, you stop growing as a person, as an individual, as skill sets, etc. So don't stop learning. Read books if you can. Listen, if you're not, some people reading's really difficult. If reading's difficult for you, listen to books. There's so many different ways now you can absorb information these days. There's no excuses, I don't think. There's a way for someone to learn something. The second thing is, don't let self-limiting beliefs stop how far you're going to go. The amount of people I look at, I'm not talented anyway. There's nothing I have that anyone doesn't have. So like with anyone, just like, if you start to doubt yourself, whatever you think of yourself, ultimately will become true. So if you think all you are worth is going out and either doing this or doing that, or earning that or earning that, that's all you'll get. Like, it's one thing that I wish, like, if I could go back, it's not regret, but like if I did, is just think bigger. Like, think outside of like what you've grown up in, think outside of like what's around you, and just literally I can't stress enough, anything like really is possible, I think. And self-limiting beliefs, most things in my view, die in the graveyard, because people just don't have like, they get negative talk. Because when people can't do something, or they think that what you're doing is unrealistic, you know, that's when all the negative talk starts, and you start listening to the wrong people. Like, it took me years to reframe my mind and re-engineer my brain to work out, actually, do I want to take advice from you? Is that advice coming from a place of experience, or is that coming from for the sake of having an opinion? I mean, you start to turn the volume down on people who, you know, don't kind of spur you along and help you up, the whole world changes, mate. And it's amazing. Like, look at me, mate, level 2, leaving school 4 GCSEs, people telling me I'm thick. Like, some people used to take the piss out, take the mick at me for like doing BTEC. They used to take the mick at me. Like, yeah, and at the time I was like, why? You know, and I come into work today, mate, you know, we're about to hire an 8th person, 9th person, you know, and it's madness. And it literally, I honestly believe it's all up here. So think bigger, dream bigger, and just go as big as you can, because ultimately, you know, touch wood, we all get to a nice bold old age. You know, there's 2 positions we're going to be in. We're either going to be full of regrets, I wish I did that, I could have done that, I should have done that, or like, if you've got this big track record of failures and stuff that's gone well, like, all I want to do is get to a nice old bold age, mate, and look back and think, do you know what, I gave my best shot. I gave it absolutely everything. Like, I'm leaving nothing on the field. And I think if I could do that and you can do that, I think everyone's gonna win.
That's you know, that's an amazing couple of bits of advice to finish on, mate. You know, don't be a what if person. So I speak to my players. I say, don't be a what if player. What if I did that? What if I did this? You know, don't be that person. Again, it has been an absolute honour and a privilege to have had a chat with you, mate. To have caught up. As I say, we could have gone on for ages. We could have talked about, you know, seasons in Zante. We could have talked about, you know, all the times in those, you know, dark and dingy classrooms in the old building.
In the sheds. Yeah, it's all luxury now, isn't it?
Sorry?
I heard you get canapes now when you turn up to class.
Yeah, absolutely palatial, mate, but never mind. It wouldn't have been possible without you guys. So, again, Josh, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. And hopefully some people are taking some stuff. You know, you're smashing it, continue to smash it. But as we say, you know, there's nothing wrong with failing, because it does make us stronger.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, Josh, take care and stay safe, mate. Really appreciate it.
Cheers, mate. Good to see you.
And you.